So my name is James Bosch. I don't know everybody, and I know some people. It's really exciting to see all of you tonight here in this creative space. My goal tonight is to talk to you about a little bit about how creative expression has been part of my healing process. Share with you a little bit about my art, and then I'm going to take you on an experiential experience, and that's why you received some clay. If you did not receive clay, that's fine. You can also do it on paper with a crayon or pencil or pen or something too. But everyone should have gotten clay. We're a small group, so there's just I think I'm gonna not have everybody introduce themselves though. So I'm just really excited that you're here. Maybe. So why don't we do this really quick? Since there's a couple screens with multiple people, why don't, so your name, I know Susanna's name's there, but who's in the Wu family square? What are your names?
Okay, I'm Kara. This is Kara, I'm Patty.
I'm Tyler.
And you know what, I'll type it into our names.
Okay, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see your names. Good, but I'm so glad you're here. And Ricardo, who's with you there?
My dad, my stepdad, and my mom.
Okay,
My
hi.
brother on the couch.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you're all here. And well, that's great. So we'll just get going then. So my name is James. If you don't know me, I've been involved with the Burn Foundation since 1994, as I started with the foundation as a Champ Camp counselor. And after that, I went on a journey through working for the foundation in many different capacities. So I've had Scott's job, I've had parts of Jan's job, parts of Jen's job. I've done a lot in the foundation, and then I left, and then I got back involved as a volunteer board of director, and now I'm involved doing a lot of stuff therapeutically through providing some therapy for some burn survivors, as well as just whatever I can do to help with the wellness team at camp and with the board. So I'm really excited. I love this foundation. It helped grow me up a lot. When I got involved with the Burn Foundation, I had never met another burn survivor. I was burned when I was 8 months old by scalding hot water that fell out of a vaporizer into my crib. And I didn't have a support network like Champ Camp or like any of our retreats or support groups when I was growing up. And I felt very isolated in my environments, my home environment, my school environment. And I really didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and I didn't know how to connect. And I didn't know how to connect well with peers. I kind of always felt a little bit on the outside. Yes, there was a lot of teasing and bullying early on, but I think equally is that, yes, there was some negative feedback from my environment, but I didn't have the internal tools to deal with it. So it was probably wouldn't have been as bad if I had tools like a lot of you are given through the foundation and other parents that engage with them around these issues. It's pretty exciting to see. So for me, I think I was always craving community, and I was craving a place to fit in, and I was craving a place to belong. And I found that in a clay studio in high school. So I didn't do very well in school. I struggled academically when I was younger. It's because I was very distracted by my emotional processes, I think. And so when I went into high school, let's just say I was in a rough patch. I was doing a lot of acting out behavior, a lot of ways to try to deal with my emotions. And some of them were not that healthy. And so I signed up for a ceramics class, and that ceramics class changed my life and sent me on a journey using clay to A, manage emotions, B, find an outlet and a way to feel accomplished by creating things that I felt good about, and having community. So I had a teacher, yeah, mentor, these mentors and guides that show up in our life. Mr. Ferrario was the ceramics teacher, and he had developed a pretty elaborate ceramics studio at the school. And I went from taking that one class to taking more classes to becoming a assistant in the studio, meaning that cleaning, loading the kilns, making glazes, like, just all the stuff that needed to happen with the clay studio. And then in my senior year, I actually I was actually doing that. I think I had 2 periods of it, because part of my one period was elective, which was where I just worked in the studio. So it was a really important place for me. It's a place I felt safe. It's a place I felt like I fit in, and it's a place I feel connected. So if you don't have any of those places in your life right now, you know, maybe there is like some place like that you haven't found yet in your school or in your community. So there was, so I started to do clay a lot, and there was actually one experience that was negative with the clay studio, where I was really struggling with school, and Mr. Ferrario decided to enter one of my pieces in a like school statewide art competition. And I wasn't allowed to participate because I didn't have a good enough grade point average. Okay. And so the vice principal of the school, who wasn't very skillful, have you guys ever heard the word microaggression? Where somebody thinks they're doing something nice or saying something nice, but it's actually kind of backwardsly hurtful. He called me in, and he had made like some like on the computer certificate of achievement in art, and like did this like little presentation in the principal's office, and basically said, you can't do this competition, but because of all the hard things you've been through, we wanted to acknowledge so it was kind of a backwards way. It didn't like encourage me. So that's a lesson for adults, right? To think about how you do acknowledge things. But basically though, clay was really important. And after I left high school, I had my own studio in my basement of my aunt's house for a while. But most of the time, every time I moved, I found a community studio, because I didn't want to work alone. I liked working in community clay studios because it gave me a ready-made place to be. It gave me ready-made friends. It gave me ready-made people that had my same interests. So I think that's something important that can be translated to anything that you're interested in life. If you have an interest, you can find a place where likewise people also have the same interests, and that'll give you a ready-made place to belong. And I think every time I moved, 'cause I moved quite a bit in my life, I would one of the first things I would do is see if they have a local community clay studio and then join. And so my art has not been something. I have sold my work, and I'll show you some stuff I've done, but my art has been more about my own personal therapy. It really is a place that I work things out. And so I'll give you, I'll share my screen here. Okay, so let me start this. Okay, so so basically, it's not so much about what I'm gonna make. So you see this ball of clay here, and this is gonna be important for us tonight. It's not necessarily about what we're gonna make. for me, it's the process of making. So when I go into work on clay and I grab a ball of clay and I start to, knead it, you knead it like bread to get it ready to work with, either on the wheel or hand building. And I get that clay and I'm in there and I'm connected with it, it's like connecting with the earth. And then when I throw that piece of clay on the wheel and I start throwing, because I like to throw, that's my main thing I do, is I totally lose track of where I am. I lose track of time. Whatever anxieties or worries or things that I have to do in work or life or thinking about, they go away for that period. It is like complete mindfulness. Have you guys heard of that term, mindfulness? When I'm doing the clay, it's like a complete being in the present moment. Do any of you have something that gives you that feeling where time slips away and it doesn't matter and you just go, whatever you're worried about just slips away for you? Do you have an activity or a thing that you do?
Drawing.
Drawing, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I have friends that are artists. I have to tell you, Susanna, I was a frustrated drawer. And I think that's what led me to clay, because I don't have this kind of like, how artists, like, and maybe you have this 3-dimensional view on things and they can create that on flat surfaces. I can't. So I found like clay was something that I could do, and that's there. So definitely. So drawing is going. Anybody else have something that they get lost in?
Mine's working out.
Working out, for sure. Yeah, that I use that one too. I can get lost in that. How about when you're doing your jewelry making? Can hours go by?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. All right.
If I don't get frustrated with it.
Okay, yeah, there is frustration in clay too, for sure.
Yeah.
The thing about clay that's frustrating is that clay, if you're making things that are large or have many pieces and you have to join them, clay is a process. You have to babysit clay. You can't get you can't work on it in certain ways when it's too wet. And then if it gets too dry, you can't connect it. So there is a lot of, you really have to engage with it, watch it, and babysit it. So yeah, so that there can be frustration in clay too. So basically, this idea of, like, for me, it's a way for me to just, I lose myself in it. So I'll go through a few things here about, so I use clay a lot for my therapeutic process as well. And I also like to see things in real life and try to recreate them in clay. So basically, this is a replica, my version of a replica of a temple top in Bali. In Bali, all the temples have these very inert little points, okay? And so I went to Bali with some family, and last year, one of the family members who I went with died of a heart attack unexpectedly, and it was very painful for me and for everybody. And so what I did was I created a temple top for him to do place in a special place of his in memorial. So it's like I did this as for like a memorial, but I really did it to work out my grief. Like, so I got to work on this. This took a long time. This took like several days where I had to really, there's many pieces, some are thrown, some are hand built, where I had to really stay on top of it and work it. And as I was doing it, I was thinking about our lives together, stuff like that. So it's like it's a process for me of working things out. And I actually think it came out really nice. I also have done shows, and I've sold my pottery. So this is that one show, and you can see my pottery is all very different. Some of it's very like utilitarian, and some of it's very artsy and funky. So like some of it is thrown with hand building attached. I see I like to do, like, these have fish for handles and stuff. So so it's very different. This is a replica of a pot I saw at the Getty Museum in LA, and I loved this whole, you know, period from Pompeii, this city. They dug up all these pots from Pompeii in Italy that were like preserved. This was one of them. This is not what it looked like, but this is my interpretation, right? And so like, why did I do that? I don't know. One day I was like, let me try this and then just see what happens. I like to do a lot of very technically difficult things. This is a double walled pot with carving out of the outside. And so I do a lot of these, and I've worked with getting this technique down. And then I'll do coffee cups and stuff because people want coffee cups. So, I mean, it's just like what, you know, I'll do my work goes all over the place. And then I always like, then I sometimes play with hand building. So, I mean, I wanted a gargoyle for my house. And so I made a gargoyle, you know, and I don't know why this gargoyle came out this way. I named him Schmitty. Doesn't he look kind of like a Schmitty? So anyways, so you see that, and then actually, so right now at my brother's house, it needs to be cleaned out. But, you know, I made him this fountain years ago, you know, and it's still running. It's got a lot of moss on it. But my work goes all over the place. And I really loved making things for people that they can put in their yards or their houses. So, and that gives me a great sense of connection to the people that I make things for. So that's just, I just wanted to give you just a little idea of like the very, you know, broad way that my ceramic work shows up. So before I continue on to our next part of the event, anybody have any questions? And I haven't looked at the, oh, I want a coffee cup. That's funny. Okay. Do you have any questions? So just unmute yourself, or anything you want to share about your own creative process that got triggered while I was talking.
I'd like to know what Quincy's making.
Quincy's already working. That's awesome. Okay, cool. She just muted herself instead of unmuted herself.
Yeah, you're muted. There you go.
I was gonna make some type of animal with horns. You say
Okay.
that? I don't know.
Very cool. She's jumping ahead. That's awesome. Anybody else have any comments or any questions?
Have you are you consistent with your pottery? Do you like do it on a regular basis, or does it ebb and flow for you?
That's a great question. So I would like to be consistent.
Yeah.
And when I am in one place, yeah. I try to get to the studio at least. So if you're working on something, you go more.
Yep.
Because you have to stay on top of it. And then so here's the thing about ceramics, everybody. So the clay that you got sent, you can bake in the oven, correct? Like Mackenzie? Yeah. So when you work with ceramics in a studio, who has worked with ceramics? Okay, a couple of you, 3 of you. Okay, so basically it's not an instant gratification thing. If you like instant gratification, this is not your medium of creativity, because you have to make the item. You have to wait for it to get what's called leather hard, which is not all the way dry, but kind of dry. And then you trim or clean up the item. And then the item needs to be fired. So after it's trimmed, it becomes what's called greenware, still green. It hasn't been fired yet. And then it goes in the oven at, you know, hundreds and hundreds of degrees temperature. And it gets fired once, and that's called bisqueware. So that's where it's fired hard, but it's still not like fired hard enough to like use as dishes or anything like that. It's kind of porous a little bit still. And then once it's bisqued, if you're going to glaze it, then you have to glaze it. And then you have to fire it a second time at a higher temperature, because basically what glaze is chemicals that fuse and become like glass on your pottery. So it you know, so when I'm working on stuff, you know, if I throw on a Monday, I'm going to have to be back there on a Wednesday to trim. And then I got to go back again as soon as they come out of the bisque to glaze. Or if it's something that's like the temple top or something that involves pieces or hand building, you know, you have to work on it a little bit, cover it. You can't work on it. You got to wait for it to dry a little bit more to add more to it, or it'll collapse, or, you know, so it really is, working with clay is a process of patience, and it's a process. So don't let me just discourage you. It's totally awesome and fun, and it's exciting to get to the studio and see how your piece comes out of the kiln, because you never know with glaze, you know, what's going to happen. So
My favorite part to see the colors.
yeah, so does that answer your question? And it's also like maybe describes more the process of clay.
Absolutely.
All right, so and the answer, so Susanna said, are you working anything right now? I'm not, because I've been in Hawaii for a month and a half, and I don't have my clay stuff here. So I know it's tough. It's terrible. I've been working on other stuff like my tan. But anyway, so what I'd like to do with everybody right now is, you know, so what we're going to do tonight is we're not going to actually, I don't want you to think about what we're about to do as making art. Okay. Whatever you make will be art, because everything is art. But what we're going to do is a creative process, because as I just described in my talk, clay is a creative process for me. It's not necessarily about the end goal, although we do get attached to our end goals. I get upset if something breaks in the kiln or the colors don't work out. Of course, don't get me wrong. but for most of my life, clay has been a therapeutic process. And so I'm going to take you through a therapeutic process. And the process that I'm going to take you through is actually usually I would do it in an hour-long process with you, but we don't have that time. So I'm doing a truncated version. All right. So what it's going to require is, first, is I'd like everybody you're going to have to open your clay and have it sitting in front of you. And I don't know if this clay stains surfaces. So if you just, it doesn't. Okay. So I was going to say, be careful if you're doing it on your white ottoman or whatever.
My green one made my hands a little green, so maybe be careful on some surfaces.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just don't want you to be disappointed. So I usually work on a board, but you don't have to go get a board. Just make sure that you are, and open your clay and just get the feeling of the clay, and just kind of make it ball. If you don't have all your digits, or if you have one hand, you can roll it with the one hand. If you don't have all your digits, you can still roll it like this or use the surface.
James,
You
you-
muted yourself.
Wait, James, I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry.
oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Mackenzie caused the carnal Zoom thing. She muted the speaker, and then, no, just kidding. How many of you are so tired of hearing, hey, you're on mute? Hopefully we won't have to hear that much longer. Okay, so so just get your clay ready and sit it. Once you get a feeling for it, just sit it in front of you. Okay. And so this process I'm going to take you on is it's an old process that is based on this Buddhist healing called feeding your demons. But we're not going to feed our demons tonight, because we don't have time to feed our demons. But what we are going to do is the second part of that process, which is meeting our ally. And we're going to meet our ally, and our ally is going to, we're not going to create, this is the thing, listen to this, listen to me clearly. We're not going to create our ally. Our ally is going to come out of our clay. All right. So I say that, so you let go of any idea of you have to create anything or be perfect about anything right now. Your ally will present itself. All right. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like everyone, if you're comfortable, is let's get grounded and close your eyes. And just take 3 deep breaths. And as you breathe in these first 3 breaths, I want you to breathe into your body, deep into your body, and just feel your body. And now I'd like you to take 3 more breaths, and these are you're going to breathe into your emotions. Feel what kind of emotions you're having right now, and just breathe into them. What feelings are going through your mind and body, and breathe into them. 3 breaths. And now we're going to take 3 last breaths. And on these, I'd like you to breathe into your mental process. What are you thinking about? What are you crunching in your brain? Breathe into that and just feel it. Just breathe, put breath around it. Create space in your mind, in your body, and in your emotions. And now I'd like you, if your eyes are still closed, that's awesome. If they're open, if you're more comfortable, fine. It doesn't really matter. I like to keep my eyes closed because I don't focus on other things. I'd like you to think of something that's kind of a challenge you're dealing with right now in your life. Something you're worried about, something that you're working on, maybe are actively working on or know that needs to be worked on. Something that's bothering you, something you'd like to achieve. Maybe there's a block. Maybe there's something holding you back from being or doing something where you want to be or how you want to be. And just notice what comes to mind. And just take note of what the issue is. All right, so once you have that, now we're going to call in an ally to help us with that issue. So I want you to call in, say, in your mind's eye, say, I'm calling you ally. You are my helper to help me with this problem or this thing I'm wanting to do in my life. And just notice anything that pops to your mind. Could be an animal, it could be a person, it could be a fantasy creature from another planet, it could be anything, it could be a plant. I don't know, you don't know. Your brain will show you. And if it's just a feeling or if maybe it's a sensation, I want you to personify that ally. What does it mean to personify the ally? You're going to give it features. You're going to give it eyes. You're going to give it a mouth. Maybe it has a nose. Maybe it has antlers. Maybe it has ears. Maybe it has a hat. Maybe it has fins. Maybe it has a trunk. Maybe it has vines. Make it a living character in your mind. Now, if nothing actually is zooming into your mind, you probably already have some kind of ally or spirit animal or some guide that you already connect with. I mean, maybe you are obsessed with connecting clay bunnies and they're all over your house. Well, then you probably have a bunny spirit animal ally, okay? So whatever, it could be anything. So without thinking about it too much, I want you to now just take your clay, your ball of clay, and start forming this ally. And maybe it'll form itself. Just start manipulating the clay and see what comes out. See what kind of creature wants to be born out of your ball of clay. And don't trip on yourselves. Don't get caught up in art. We're not doing art. An ally is being born out of your ball of clay. This ally might surprise you. Might be something that you didn't even think about, and it just presents itself. So just start manipulating the clay. If you have a pen, you can use that to, you could use anything you have near you. I mean, I'm just going to use my fingers because I have all my fingers. If you don't have all your fingers, you might have to get some other stuff to help you poke holes and manipulate it. And just see what kind of ally, because this ally that's being born out of this clay is going to actually live with you and going to help you with your problems. Trust me, it is gonna work. So just keep moving. If you feel stuck, just close your eyes again and just ask the ally to present itself, and then open your eyes and start manipulating the clay. Like, oh my God, I have no idea who this dude is that's starting to be born out of my piece of clay. It's absolutely like, this ally looks like an awesome ally. Now I don't know how easy this clay is to connect pieces, but if you're gonna connect pieces of clay together, you really have to squish the clay together. Pinch it, squish it so it stays together. You don't want it to just be kind of stuck on there because it'll fall apart when it dries a bit. So if anybody in the room right now is struggling creating their ally, I want you to send me a private chat, or if you feel comfortable, just unmute yourself and say it, and we'll help you. But I see a lot of activity happening. I think your allies are just excited to be born to you and created. Just notice how it feels to feel this like consistency of the clay in your hand. It's really grounding. It really makes you feel connected to the moment. And I always find creating in a group much more powerful than creating alone. It just always excites me. So I'm so glad all of you chose to show up tonight to help me call forward my ally. Because my ally is like, I want to meet these people. I love it. See, I've never, this dude is really wanting to really come through, man. Again, we're not making art. We're birthing an ally out of some clay. Awesome. Scotty's ally's coming on. I love this. I love your faces right now. Everyone's so into it. I love it. Did you ever think that you could have such a good time together on a virtual platform? So wild. Kelsey, you're gonna have to tell me about time because I'm not looking at my clock because I've lost track of the world again because I put my hands on clay. I lose track of the world. So you're gonna have to tell me what time we have.
All right, you're good.
Well, what does that mean?
Oh,
How much?
I'm sorry. You have about 30 minutes.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool.
My ally is coming out in 2D and not 3D.
That's perfect. That means that's what your ally wanted. We're not going to question how our allies want to be birthed. We're just helping them along. You know what Michelangelo said, you all know who Michelangelo is? He used to carve these beautiful, intricate sculptures out of marble. And he was quoted as saying that he doesn't create the sculpture. He cleans away the rock and releases the image that's already there. Isn't that powerful? He just cleans away the rock that doesn't need to be there and frees the sculpture. So that's what creativity, that's a good description of when we get lost in creativity. I cannot get to my phone, Quincy. I see you're texting me, so I'm sorry. My hands are in clay. And my phone is across the table.
I just sent you a picture of what my creature looks like.
Oh, okay, well, we're gonna share our creatures if we're comfortable, but I appreciate that. Thank you. How's mom doing? Is she creating?
She said it looks like a blob.
No, I was being critical. I was being mean, but I don't know. It's a moving creature.
You were being critical of her being?
Of her. Well, at first it was just little strips of clay,
Okay.
and now she put it together to make a creature.
Okay, well, first, the number one rule is we cannot comment or be critical of other people's allies. They're so personal. Our allies are so personal to us individually. So we can't make comments like that.
Ironically, mine's looking like a fidget spinner.
Oh, perfect. Now personify the fidget spinner. Give it some kind of personification. Something that gives you the sense that it could talk to you, or communicate to you, or wield some kind of wand or power. Give it some kind of personification, Jen. You can just give it eyes. It doesn't matter. A flounder is a flat fish with just 2 eyes on the top, and that's it's an awesome fish. So it doesn't have all these wild things going on, so
That's what I liked about the clay anyways, is like when we were doing the exercise before, I was holding on to the clay and kind of playing with my hands. And I think it just kind of gives you something to put your energy into. And I really like that.
Awesome. How many people feel like their ally is almost to a place where it's like, feels like it's there? I mean, you could work for hours on it, but
I love the permission that you gave us to not have like a destination and just let it.
yeah, there is no
Emma.
definition. Yeah, it's whatever wants to come out. All right, the Yates Bateria family, it says coming along, love it. I think you guys joined a little later, but I'm so glad you're here and that you got to participate. Unice, I haven't seen you forever. So exciting to see you. I mean, literally forever. We used to do a lot of work together down in LA back in the Shriners days and all that. Yes, that was such a good time.
I swear I found an old
time,
photo of
Jen.
you guys at Young Adult Summit together. Did you
Oh, wow.
remember Young Adult Summit, Eunice?
Yeah.
And I found,
95, I think.
yeah, I was gonna say it's a 90s photo, so I found a picture of you guys
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, 95. That's when I met Lily and Jim.
Yep. Yeah, good times. All right. Well, my ally feels like it's ready. But so what? I'll just kind of sit him over there. So as you're working on this, I want to tell you how you can use your ally after this workshop. So when you're struggling, with the issue that I had you first think about, or any other issue, you can bring the essence of your ally into your mind and ask for help. Or you can keep your ally on your desk or someplace in your house that's special. Like if you have a little altar, or if you have a special place where you have your favorite pictures or whatever. And when you're struggling, you can ask your ally for support. So this is going to be not just a one-time shot. This ally is now in your life forever to be a part of your helpers, your family, friends, and other helpers. Now you have this ally. So when we have about 20 minutes left, is that about now, Mackenzie? Okay. So so what I'd like you to do is wherever you are, that's fine, is I'd like to have, if you could take everybody off mute. And I'd like to have people who feel comfortable to share the stage, whatever stage their ally is in, and share it on the screen and talk about your process just a little bit. Like, what was it like? Were you surprised which ally came forward? Were you not surprised? Is it an ally you already work with? How does it relate to maybe the problem that you came up with that you need help with? Or anything about this process. I want us to share as a community, because this is what's powerful for me about creating, is the community part, right? So who would like to, so Quincy, since you've been blowing up my texts with your pictures that I can't see, why don't you share your ally and talk about your process?
I sent you one text, Shamba.
Can you
kind of
highlight
like,
the person who's talking so we can see it bigger? Because I
I
don't
don't-
want everybody to have
you
to go.
guys see it?
Yeah.
It is kind of like an alien-esque looking creature that has deep set eyes, and but still kind of friendly looking. And I just kind of let the clay speak to me, and I really love the horns, so I spent the most amount of time on that.
Very cool.
My mom would like to share her creature.
Great.
How do I get it to the
The camera's right there.
You're good.
It's a blob.
Oh, it's a fabulous ally. It's a fabulous creature. What kind of qualities of superpowers or help do you think that it might give you?
It's reminded me that with COVID, I've been a blob.
Okay. So it's an ally to motivate you.
I hope.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Who would like to share next?
I'll go.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, hold on. Let me, 1 second. Let me get my thing. There. Okay, so I made a leaf. There's you can tell, let's see, there's little like rivets in it and stuff. So I feel like I've been having some growing pains lately, and this is a reminder of that things are always growing, and that just to let nature take its course. And yeah, I used a very small bit of my clay, and I feel like that's kind of a representation of my life right now. I'm just using a little bit of it, and there's just so much more I could use. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because anything plant-based has a life to it, right? And can be used as a source of energy and support.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really great. Really awesome. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Awesome.
Who is that? Susanna. Okay.
Susanna, yeah, let's highlight you. Awesome.
Okay, so today I did a bird
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
and it's growing its feathers just like I am. I'm growing. it's getting older, like I am, I'm learning new things, and the birds, by me learning new things, it's gaining its feathers.
Oh, that's beautiful. So your ally is reminding you about that you're growing and you're learning things. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Were you surprised that a bird grew out of your clay?
Yes.
Yeah, see, our allies, it kind of surprises us. That's so awesome. Who would like to go next?
I will.
Okay, that's
Mine
Jan.
is, mine is my attempt for making a dolphin.
Okay, I can see the beautiful, awesome dolphin.
And the reason is because I'm a water creature and I love the water, and that's where I feel peace at.
Nice.
And with the turmoil that's been happening, all I want is some peace. And they come to remind me of that.
Nice. That's a great, so if that's your type of ally, when you're in a stressful moment at work or with a family situation or whatever, you could just stop and bring forward your dolphin in your mind and go for a swim. And just glide through the ocean and feel your worries just be washed away. That's awesome. Who would like to go next? Let's get as many people in as we can.
Mine's a wolf. And I just think of it as like a pack animal. And yeah, I thought it's, it's kind of a tough pack animal that always has your back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So the wolf you can call on when you're in a place where you feel like no one has your back, you can call on your ally.
Sit on my shoulder.
That's awesome. That's so cool. How about some of our survivors that joined us? One of the families, or Christina, or
we're ready.
Okay, go for it.
I'm not sure what this is, but I just made it.
Oh, it's awesome. Whatever it is, it's an awesome ally. Yeah. And what is it like? What was the process for you?
For me, it was just basically like tying, like, so rolling this up, then just like making it into a knot, basically.
Very cool. And how did it feel to have that, feel that in your hand and put them together? What was that experience?
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very therapeutic, right? How about you, Pops?
I kind of was doing what Richie was doing, just kind of rolling it. And before I knew it, it just felt like it was going to be a snake. So I figured I'd put some eyes on it, the tongue, and just something in the back, I guess, to make it different.
I love it. You know, snakes are powerful spirit animals and can be powerful allies when you need that kind of energy, right? That kind of support. Who else we got there? Very cool. Tell us about it. What did it mean to you?
So I used to do ceramics too in high school, so it kind of brought me back to the whole process of it.
I can't hear you for some reason where you are to the mic or something.
Sorry. So I used to do ceramics in high school as well, so this was very calming. Kind of brought me back. I guess I chose a snail just because, no matter what happens in life, you just keep going. No matter how slow you go, you're gonna get there. So there you go.
That's great. So like when you're feeling impatient or frustrated, you could just bring in your snail ally. Just
take it easy and you'll get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's get another Zoom household window here.
So I made Master Yoda, but it turned out, well, actually I was trying to make Shrek, a movie, but it turned out to be Master Yoda for some reason when I was trying to make the ears.
So let me say something about that. When you said for some reason, it's because you needed Master Yoda's energy. You need Master Yoda's support. That whole wise, no, just that calm, wise, presence, right? That Yoda is. So that's awesome. Love it. Love it. Who else would like to share? Unisi, calling you out. So you're muted.
There.
There you are.
I feel like a flower.
Oh, nice.
Right now
Yeah.
I'm going through so much changes that I feel that I need to see something pretty.
That's beautiful, right? So that ally of a beautiful flower, right? So when things feel ugly and hard and everything's like a grind, you could just bring the presence of the flower in, the essence of the flower. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing and bringing your emotions. It's awesome. I mean, we're all going through changes all the time, and any allies or any support we can build internally or externally is awesome. And that's what creativity does for us. How about someone from the Wu family?
Hi. So when you said the word ally, what brought to mind is actually what's most important to me, and my ultimate ally is, I guess, my relationship with God, my relationship with Christ. And so I was manipulating the clay and just kept twisting it, and it became a twisted, there's a twist to it, but there's like a cross kind of type thing.
Yeah, that's great.
A reminder to me that like when life gets overwhelming sometimes, it's so comforting for me to know that there's somebody who's got it, like someone who's in control and has a plan and purpose, even for suffering. Like suffering can be a transforming, beautiful thing in the end. It's hard and it's painful.
Well, suffering's a lesson, right? Often a lesson takes us to a new understanding.
Exactly, and it can strengthen you in ways, but just to know that God has a plan for me in my life, that is my
That's great.
ally.
Great. And so, like I said, your ally that presents itself might be a symbol that you already use, right? And so that happened for you, but in a different way. So what are the twists mean? Maybe there's some changes in your relationship with your religious ally or your God. So just like there's so many ways to work and move with it, right? I mean, it's so surprising always. So thank you for sharing that. How about one of your awesome children? Maybe Tyler, or I know Tyler. I don't.
Books are on here. They're rather shy.
Okay, don't worry about it. I was very.
I'll show you what she made, but there won't be commentary. But I think
Okay. Well, that's an awesome ally. That's the commentary I'll give. All right. So maybe the three of you can talk about it a little bit, what those symbols mean to you. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Do we have time for a couple more? Kelsey, yeah, okay. I saw a note that the Yates, for I'm butchering your name. You have a lot of vowels in your last name. For your family is still working, and the computer isn't working. So thank you just for being here. So who haven't we heard from? I think that would be.
I think we heard from everybody.
Yeah,
What about you,
yeah.
James? What did you make?
Oh yeah, I forgot. So I was totally, so what I was thinking about when I was coming up with the issue is there's an issue that I'm hitting a wall with, something that I haven't figured out my way around it yet. So the ally that presented itself, not surprisingly, has wings. And it's just it's not a bird, maybe not even not a dragon, I don't know. It's something that helped me rise above things. So it's got wings, and then it wanted to have some either eggs or bombs, or I don't know. Yeah, so that's my ally, and I'm gonna do a little engagement with my ally later too, and see how it can help me. You know, you can ask your ally questions and see, sometimes you'll get answers. So yeah, so I just encourage all of you, whatever your creative expression is, to find a way. When you create, you disconnect from your thoughts, and your thoughts aren't always true, right? Stories run in our heads, and those stories aren't always true. And so when we engage creatively, we're able to drop into a new place, a creative space, a spiritual space, if you will, or some people might call it a space of potential, where new ideas and thoughts about a problem can come out, new feelings can come out. So however that is for you, for me, it's always been clay, but for you, it might be something else. But I encourage you, if this clay, like my friend that said he did clay in high school, and it reminded him how great it was, well, so maybe you forgot about something that used to help you. Maybe find a clay studio in your community. Most communities have a community clay studio, either at a community center or a junior college, or some place where you can take classes or do drop-in studio time, and just experiment with different things and find a creative outlet in your life, because it's so helpful. It's been so helpful for me in my healing from my trauma of my burn injury, but not just that, you know, it's also the other traumas that I've had in my life. You know, I think that those of us that are burn survivors and loved ones of burn survivors, we know how isolating it can feel when we don't think that people understand what we're going through. And sometimes we could go to this place of creativity and it doesn't matter. We feel connected to something. So I guess that's my message, which again, like my ally, I didn't have planned. I didn't plan what I was going to say to you guys, and I didn't plan what the clay was going to say. And that's the beauty of it all. I appreciate you all spending this time with us. I just want to open it up if anybody else had any final comments they wanted to make or things they wanted to talk about before we close out.
Before we all leave, if you guys would like to hold up your little thing you made, and we can take a group picture all together. So yeah, let me grab mine. Hold on.
That
Okay.
means you're gonna have to do many things at one time, Mackenzie.
I'm a good multitasker. All right, ready? On 3, 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for showing up.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for coming. Really appreciate all of you guys. I would love to see pictures of your clay if you guys decide to bake it or not bake it. I'll put my email in the chat, and if you would like, please feel free to send them to me. I would love to see them. So yeah, thank you guys again for spending your evening with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Thank you, James.
Hey, James.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Keep sprouting those wings.